I'm wondering if a lot of us maybe didn't learn in US history class about Mexican repatriation during the Great Depression, aka the illegal roundup of millions of people who looked Mexican and just forcibly deporting them to Mexico with no due process. So the context for this is that during the 1910s and the 1920s, the US government had been actively encouraging immigration from Mexico, specifically for young men of working age to come across the border, again, with the invitation and sanction of the US government, and work on farms, especially in the Southwest and in California, because American workers were often going to either fight in World War I, but also the US government was really cracking down on Asian immigration. So we already had the Chinese Exclusion Act. We were also pushing out Japanese immigrants, a lot of people that were kind of the lowest working class on the West Coast. They're like, well, now we need Mexican people to come in. Anyway, cut to 1929, the Great Depression starts, and they go, actually, I need all of you to go home. And not just all of you, anyone who seems like you could be from Mexico, including, we estimate now, 60% of the people deported who were actual American citizens. This happens anytime there's economic hardship, by the way, right? This like they're taking our jobs sort of rhetoric, which often proves to be untrue. But Herbert Hoover said, quote, "We need American jobs for real Americans." Keep in mind, of the 2 million people that were forcibly deported without due process, they didn't have any sort of day in court. None of this was constitutional. Of those 2 million, it's now estimated that over half of them were American citizens born in the United States. These did not happen because of some explicit order by the federal government, but the federal government was in support of them. Obviously Herbert Hoover, but then even FDR as well. These are mostly carried out by the local and state governments. And again, totally unconstitutional. There's no legal process for this. They would just like go to a park where Mexican or Mexican American people hung out. They would round up hundreds of people and put them on a train and leave them across the border in Mexico. There are people living on the West Coast, especially Los Angeles. LA was like a huge hub for these mass deportations. There are people living in LA today who remember those raids, right? There's a former California state senator, Martha Escutia, said that growing up in East Los Angeles, her immigrant grandfather never even walked to the corner grocery store without his passport for fear of being stopped and deported. Even after he became a naturalized citizen, he continued to carry it with him. This was not that long ago. Less than 100 years ago, there are people alive today who were still deeply impacted by the repatriation. It's the wrong word. That implies that they're going back where they came from, when many of them, that's not the case. There are people today who are still directly impacted by that action by the government less than 100 years ago. Cut to the end of the 1930s, World War II begins. We're sending millions of people, of men, off to fight in Europe and in the Pacific. And all of a sudden, we need people who are going to do that agricultural labor again. And the federal government starts a new program called the Bracero program, where they actively encourage young men, especially from Mexico, to come across the border and work. Again,